right, well, Aliyah Boston, thank you so much for making the long trek to WTHR here downtown Indianapolis, going into year 3 for you here in the WNBA. Kind of crazy. Is that crazy?
It's kind of crazy to think how fast time is going. I was actually just saying that, like, I can't believe this is my 3rd year.
Did Aliyah Boston just throw subtle shade at her former coach while praising new head coach Stephanie White? In a recent interview, Boston couldn't stop raving about White's excellent communication and sharp in-game tactics. Ironically, the very areas where many felt Christie's sides fell short last season.
It's like, okay, now we come out, we have to be ready to compete, but we also know that, listen, if things aren't going our way, then we have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust.
Boston reflected on her past battles against White's Connecticut Sun team, noting how White's mid-game adjustments always kept opponents on their toes and left the Fever scrambling. Now that White is coaching Indiana, Boston's excitement is impossible to miss. Her words hinted at just how transformative this coaching change could be for Caitlin Clark and the entire roster. If you're hyped, drop an A, B, and CC in the comments below. Let's go.
Well, how was the offseason for you? There's a lot going on with the team, a lot going on with the WNBA, women's sports in general. How was the offseason for you?
Offseason was great. I was able to participate in Unrivaled, so I was super excited about that. And kind of just looking at our team in general, all the changes we've made. It has been a lot. It's been super fast, but I think they've all just been super exciting moves for us. And I'm excited to get the season started because I think we have so much talent.
As soon as the topic shifted to the Fever's off-season moves, Boston's face lit up. She wasn't just pleased. She looked genuinely ecstatic about the front office's efforts. She used the phrase "super exciting" to describe the team's new additions, and her visible enthusiasm was a refreshing contrast to last season's constant struggles.
Yeah, you mentioned it right there. It felt like there was 1 week, maybe a month, maybe more ago, that it was just like bang, bang, bang. Someone else new coming to the team via trade, via free agency. All really valuable pieces. Winning experience with those additions as well. What do you make of the newcomers on this team and how everyone will gel together after such a promising year last year for you guys?
Boston didn't hold back when breaking down what the new players bring to the table. This wave of veteran talent changes everything for Indiana's young roster. Last season, players like Boston, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell had to shoulder most of the responsibility. Now, with proven winners joining the mix, the Fever finally have the leadership and experience Boston is used to, especially coming from her championship background at South Carolina.
I think when you look at who we brought in and who is still here, I think what really helps us and excites us the most is that we win. We win a lot. Coming from winning programs just in general and being able to put this together, I think it's going to be super exciting. Like every time we get on the court and we're practicing or if we're playing pickup, we're like, I can't wait to get the season started. Like we are going to just play so well.
One of the most noticeable changes was in Boston's tone. Last year, she often spoke about the team's potential, as if winning was still far off. Now, she talks about expectations, making it clear that competing isn't a hopeful dream anymore. It's the standard. That's a massive mindset shift for a team that's been stuck in rebuild mode for years.
Being able to have so many different options on the floor, anyone coming off the bench, just being ready to be that heavy hitter and make an impact.
Yeah, deep team, right?
Yes.
Too, it feels like no lineup, there's no drop-off.
Boston specifically mentioned how the new lineup offers much more offensive flexibility. So many different options on the floor, she said with a clear sense of optimism. Last season, when defenses clamped down on Clark, Boston, or Mitchell, Indiana often had no answers. With the new additions, that one-dimensional offense appears to be a thing of the past.
How excited are you for the Fever just this season and as far as your team is concerned, but just to carry that momentum forward as people continue to realize how high level women's basketball is, women's sports are, and just the excitement around this season and the WNBA in general?
Interview 7. Perhaps the most surprising part of Boston's comments was her use of the word formidable to describe what the Fever could become. That's a word she never used last season, not even during their late playoff push. shows a dramatic change in mentality. This team isn't aiming to just compete anymore. They're aiming to dominate. "We want to win every single night," Boston repeated. Gone is the focus on growth and development. Now it's all about results. Boston herself has grown into a demanding leader, no longer satisfied with progress alone.
Yeah, we're gonna ride the momentum. We're gonna ride the wave. I think there's no way you don't. You know, there's so much eyes, there's so much energy, there's so much attention. It's like every time you step on that floor, you want to play your best because you know there's so many people watching. And it's not just for you; it's for the little kids that continue to dream of being where you are and be like, oh my gosh, they're my favorite players. And the fans that continue to watch, it's like you want to continue to show them, like, listen, we come out here, we compete not just for ourselves, but for you guys because you guys pour so much attention, so much love on this Fever squad, and so we just have to be ready to compete every single night.
Dana Bonner echoed Boston's enthusiasm, emphasizing that the team now poses a multi-level threat on the court. With Boston dominating the post, Clark excelling beyond the arc, and a variety of new scorers added to the mix, opposing coaches are going to have a tough time crafting game plans against this revamped Fever squad. While Boston was clearly excited about the new player additions, her most telling moment came when she addressed the coaching change. The noticeable shift in her energy and demeanor when discussing Stephanie White versus her former coach says everything about how the team feels regarding this significant upgrade on the sidelines.
Also, part of the newness of this season, and it feels like it's kind of hitting a crescendo, right, as we are only a month away. But head coach Stephanie White, new to town, not really new to town, new maybe for you, but what has that relationship been like in kind of the Stephanie White regime here going forward?
When you hear Aliyah Boston speak about Stephanie White, there's an undeniable shift in her tone, an authentic excitement that was missing when she spoke about coaching last season. What makes her take especially valuable is her first-hand experience facing White's Connecticut. Son as an opponent, Boston knows exactly what kind of competitive edge White brings to a team because she's been on the other side of it.
It's been great. I think Steph has just done a great job ever since she got the job of just communicating. I remember within the first few weeks that she had the job, we were watching film about how she wanted me to be able to play, what she thinks of the team, what she wants our goal to be once the season starts, where we want to end. And I think for me that's super important because even though it feels like I've been in the league for quite some time, you know, this is only my third year, and being able to learn from a coach that you've been able to see, especially being able to play against her and seeing the way that she coaches, the way that she makes adjustments, is super exciting for me.
Boston couldn't say enough good things about White's communication skills, and that detail matters. We have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust, right? She said, her voice full of energy. Last season, Christie Sides was heavily criticized for poor communication. Remember those confusing timeouts and late-game breakdowns when players looked lost? Boston's emphasis on White's clarity and command suggests those kinds of missteps may now be behind them.
Talked about going against her in the probably most important series of your career,
Yep.
right, in the first round last season. What did you take away from going up against her? That maybe you're like, oh great, she's on my side now, and we can use this to our advantage.
Yeah, when we played against Connecticut, Steph, I mean, her adjustments, the way she started off the game, I remember there were times where we were playing, and I was like, did they mean to do this? And then you come back again the second possession, and they really did mean to do that. And it's something that we didn't think about, and coming in, it's like, okay, well, now we have to adjust.
Boston also emphasized the importance of in-game strategy, recalling how tough it was to play against White's Sun teams. When we played Connecticut, Steph, her adjustments and how she started the game, they always brought something new, she shared. That's athlete code for, we got out-coached. Boston made it clear that White's tactical edge caused real problems for the Fever in the past.
When for her, it's like we've already played you guys 3-4 times, now we're going to playoffs, and they still bring something new to the table. So to be on that side, it's super exciting because I think once again we have so much talent on our squad. We're going to be going up against all these teams that in the offseason also made adjustments, also have just great, talented, flat-out hoopers. So it's like, okay, now we come out, we have to be ready to compete, but we also know that, listen, if things aren't going our way, then we have a coach at the helm who knows how to adjust.
You could visibly see Boston's body language change when she talked about how White will help them face other elite teams. She sat up straighter, Her gestures became livelier, and her tone grew more confident. It was the look of someone who truly believes that a major obstacle has finally been solved.
What was Steph's message just for first team meeting?
Unity. I think that was the biggest thing. You know, we talked about it earlier, even in this, is the outside noise. And so for her, it's about sticking together, making sure that we are a tight unit, that nothing can poke holes in between what we have going, because that's one way to go down, and we don't want to go down.
Without directly calling out Christie's sides, Boston effectively laid out what the team lacked last season by highlighting how much she values White's communication and strategic approach. Think back to all those moments where the Fever failed to adjust to defensive schemes aimed at Clark, or where they struggled to plug holes on defense. Boston's comments make it clear. She believes Stephanie White would have handled those situations far better. For Boston, having White on their side now isn't just encouraging, it's a major competitive advantage. Where frustration once lingered, now there's belief in their coach's ability to lead.
Just by how we operate with each other off the court, how we are on the court, I think being able to be selfless is another thing that we talked about in the team meetings, like giving up a good shot for a great shot. And I think that's just super important, because when you get in games, you know, you never know when your number is going to be called to hit that big shot, and being able to trust each other to be able to do it is going to be important for us.
This coaching change resonates deeply with Boston because it aligns with the championship mindset she developed under Dawn Staley at South Carolina. There, she learned under elite coaching that thrived on tactical brilliance and clear communication. Traits White also embodies thanks to her WNBA championship credentials. With new veteran players in the mix and a coach she fully trusts, Boston believes the Fever's identity is shifting right before our eyes. No longer content being a young team with potential, she sees a group that's ready to contend. The days of being overlooked are ending, and Boston is more than ready for this next chapter.
You mentioned there's so much talent on this team. There's so much excitement revolving around this. The new additions, the core, you, Caitlin, Kelsey, getting Kelsey back, that's obviously huge for this group. What is it, you know, you kind of were the hunters last year. You were young, you were exciting, and really ended the season on a high note. Do you feel that transition, or is it too early to say that you're maybe the hunted at this point? Is there still a lot to prove with this group? What's the goal going in? What do you want to see, the expectations, everything like that, with all the talent that you keep mentioning?
There's something noticeably different about Aliyah Boston this offseason. When she talks about the Fever's upcoming year, her focus isn't on development or untapped potential anymore. It's squarely on winning. That shift represents a complete identity transformation for a team that has spent years rebuilding. And Boston knows it.
I think our expectations to win. That is it, flat out. I think every single time we play, every time we step on the floor, people are going to want to beat the Fever. And I know last year it didn't start off that way for us, but as you said, halfway through the season, that switch was flipped. And it was like you didn't want to see us on your schedule. And I think we're going to take that momentum going in.
That simple shift in language says it all. The Fever no longer see themselves as a team just happy to compete. They now expect to win. This is no longer the mindset of underdogs. It's the attitude of a true contender.
I'm excited. I think having a fresh start, in a sense, has been really great for us. I think just being able to practice and work out the way that we have been, I think it really shows what we're capable of, and so I'm excited to get started.
Perhaps the most fascinating part of this transformation is how confidently Boston embraces the target on their backs. Last season, the Fever could sneak up on opponents. This season, with the roster and coaching upgrades, teams will be circling Indiana on their calendars. But Boston isn't shying away. She seems to welcome it. She highlighted the importance of continuity, pointing to the returning core. We have Kelsey, Caitlin, myself, Lexi, and Dee Dee all coming back. With players like Mitchell, Hull, Boston, Clark, and Dantas forming last year's promising foundation, the added reinforcements now give Boston a vision of a truly complete team.
I think it's going to be keeping this the main thing. For us, it's about winning, making sure that we continue to protect our locker room and don't let outside noise get in. And I think last year was a great start to that. And to be able to do it this year, I feel like we already know what's to come.
One of the most telling moments was when Boston acknowledged the increased attention surrounding the team. She stressed the importance of protecting our locker room and not letting outside noise in. It shows her awareness that, with Caitlin Clark and rising expectations, comes a level of media and public focus the franchise hasn't seen in years. Keeping that noise out while staying focused on the goal of winning will be a challenge, but one Boston seems prepared for.
Just by how we operate with each other off the court, how we are on the court, I think being able to be selfless is another thing that we talked about in the team meetings, like giving up a good shot for a great shot. And I think that's just super important because when you get in games, you never know when your number is going to be called to hit that big shot, and being able to trust each other to be able to do it is going to be important for us.
Boston also reflected on how she's had to adjust to Caitlin Clark's fast-paced style of play. One of the biggest things was just learning how to play with Caitlin, she admitted. Her willingness to evolve her own game in Aliyah. Support of the team shows a deep commitment to collective success over personal comfort. Exactly the mindset needed when shifting from rebuilding mode to serious contention.
I feel like one of the biggest things in that area was just getting to know and getting to play with Caitlin. I think Caitlin plays such a fast-paced game, and for me, I feel like the year before that, it wasn't as fast, and then coming in kind of having that same expectation of the way that we played the year before, and then coming in and Caitlin loves to play really fast, so I think that was definitely the adjustment. But I mean, I think knowing that and having that mindset just helped in the offseason because I know exactly where I need to be.
Perhaps the most revealing insight into the Fever's fight on. New identity came when Boston described how opponents will now view them. Everyone's going to come out knowing it's not going to be a cakewalk. We've got killers from every angle. So how do you stop that? That's not how teams describe rebuilding squads. It's how they talk about real threats. Boston also connected the Fever's rise to the broader surge in women's basketball, saying, "We're going to ride the momentum. We're going to ride the wave." With the WNBA All-Star Game headed to Indianapolis, Boston sees another chance to elevate the franchise. And her own development only makes this evolution even more exciting to watch.
Just with the momentum of not only the WNBA at large, but the All-Star Game, I feel like so many eyes were on it last season.
I think it's going to be, the energy is going to be so much higher because it's an Indy. I feel like I say this every time about the fans that support women's basketball, that support sports in general, the attention that the Fever has been getting. I think no one wants to pass up a chance to see all the best athletes playing against each other in the same place. Sometimes it's hard for other people to be able to travel and catch other games of their favorite players, but to have it right here in your backyard, I think it's going to be truly amazing.
Even as Boston beams about the team's transformation, she remains just as focused on her personal journey. Now entering her third season, she says her mental approach to the game has dramatically shifted. Much of that due to her time in Unrivaled. That experience wasn't just about showing off her skills. It redefined how she approaches the game entirely.
So year 3 for you, and you mentioned it feels like, I don't know which it feels like. You've been in the league for a while, or it's still only just 3 years, right? You've been a star. You've really had success in your young career. Where have you seen the most growth going into year 3? Do the off seasons get more valuable as you go forward in your career? Like on and off the court, where have you experienced the most growth heading into the season?
Boston openly discussed the confidence she's gained, which has allowed her to trust her abilities in ways she hadn't before. You can see this growth clearly when watching her recent performances compared to her rookie season. The hesitation is gone. She's no longer second-guessing shots or passing up opportunities. Her movements now exude a certainty that wasn't always there in the past.
I definitely think mentally, I've experienced the most growth. Being able to play in Unrivaled, I think, has just boosted my confidence a little bit, not really second-guessing myself on shots that I know I can make, and just being confident and knowing, like, it's okay if you miss one, you can still take the next one with the same level of confidence. And so that's kind of my mindset going into the season, is just continue to be confident and trust my game because of the work and effort that I put into it.
This mental development has come at the perfect time for a player who must balance two critical roles: developing as a young star while also leading a team with championship expectations. It's a tough balance to maintain. Too much focus on personal growth can come off as selfish, while focusing too much on leadership can stunt individual progress. But Boston seems to have found that balance. Her conversations with Dana Evans have also shown her evolution. Evans emphasized how important Boston's play is for the team's success. And rather than shy away from the responsibility, Boston fully embraces it. She understands her role as the anchor in the paint, while Clark controls the perimeter. This dynamic gives the Fever an inside-outside threat that few teams can rival.
Yeah, I feel like it's always been the same. For me, it's about being who I am, not changing who I am, and I think people are able to just, I attract just that great energy, I think, and not bragging on myself, but I feel like just because the way that I approach everyone, I always want to make sure everyone's smiling, and I feel like when that's your approach, make sure that everyone's good, it's so easy to build that relationship because you just get comfortable with each other really quickly.
Boston's excitement about playing in front of sold-out crowds reflects her understanding of how fan energy can elevate on-court performance. She doesn't see passionate fans as pressure. She sees them as fuel. As expectations rise and the scrutiny on the Fever intensifies, this perspective will be invaluable. Perhaps the most significant growth in Boston's game has been her mental consistency. She has developed the confidence to trust her abilities even through struggles, whether it's shooting slumps or tough matchups. This new mindset allows her to remain effective, even when things aren't going perfectly. That reliability is what sets good players apart from great ones.
Aliyah, I saw that the team made a promotional film at Madam Walker Theater on
Yes.
Indiana Avenue. What's that mean in terms of significance for the Fever aligning with that historic site?
Yeah, I think it's special. Not only like you think of everyone that support the Fever, but being able to tie in that to a historic site like that, I think is super special. And it just once again shows the bond that between sports and women's sports and the whole city of Indiana is really capable of.
Boston's connection to Indianapolis goes beyond just basketball. Her remarks about the team's promotional video, filmed at the Madam Walker Theater, show how she's embracing the city's culture and history. She stated, "I'm just going to be ready to be a part of it. Every change that comes, I'll be ready and excited for it." This community connection is important for a franchise looking to rebuild its identity. Boston's personal evolution aligns perfectly with the Fever's transformation. Both came into the league with immense potential, but faced their share of growing pains. Now, both seem poised to take a major leap forward, from developing prospects to legitimate WNBA contenders.
Who doesn't want to play sold-out crowds at home? And when you're away, you have just a bunch of people that are wearing Fever jerseys. I think that's so important because you know that you always have a family and coming from the fans because they're always going to cheer you on.
What we've seen from Aliyah, Boston's interviews is a team on the brink of something special. The improvements in talent, coaching, and, most importantly, confidence have transformed the Fever from a rebuilding team into one with genuine playoff aspirations. The way Boston talks about winning isn't speculative anymore. It's an idfadrivid expectation. When she says they want to win every single game, it's clear that the mentality has shifted completely. With Clark's vision, Hull's shooting, Mitchell's scoring, Boston's interior presence, White's tactical acumen, and the championship experience from new additions, this Fever team isn't just building for the future. They're coming for today. If you're excited, comment A, B, and CC down below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.